Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. Today we are here to talk about a big game for both the teams, but it was Kolkata Knight Riders who came out victorious. It was a thumping victory which Kolkata Knight Riders had today versus the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Let's talk about the match in summary. Kolkata Knight Riders won the toss, chose to bat, scored 177, all thanks to some late order blitz from Andre Russell, who scored a brilliant 49. And in the response, it was Andre Russell again with the ball, decimating Sunrisers for a very cheap score. I have Sandipani to talk about it. He's a passionate KKR fan and he'd like to share what he feels like a fan first up. As a fan, does this win give you a lot of hopes that KKR can qualify?
No, I mean, I had already said in the past as well when KKR were losing five in a row, I always knew that once they get that one win, they are going to come back. This
Yeah,
has been the case for KKR in the past seasons as well. We saw in the last season as well, they started
yeah,
off really slowly. They won just the two games in the first seven, and then what a comeback did they make in the second half. Similar was the case in 2020. They started off really well, but then again, a string of losses, and then the momentum was gone. So this
right.
time around, also I think they are putting in those wins, and I think they are going to get another win as well in the next one against LSG. But you might as well feel it is a bit too little and too late because 14 points right now. If KKR would have got this form, I mean they are defeating Sunrisers Hyderabad, they are defeating Rajasthan Royals, the teams against whom they actually struggled to like pull off some winning games. Against
Yeah,
RR, they had a really winning position.
yeah, right,
40 to 40 needed to win of the last four overs should be a cakewalk for a team
right,
who is chasing 221.
right.
Similarly, was the case against Sunrisers Hyderabad. They scored 170, 173 in Brabourne. I think it was a good enough score, something around par. And they
Yeah,
got those two early wickets, Kane Williamson and Abhishek Sharma. But then again, Rahul Tripathi came in and played that gem of a knock. I think again some of the features were repeated. Umran Malik had a brilliant spree against KKR. He picked up three wickets.
right.
Natarajan bowled brilliantly at the death, as we expect him to like perform. It's good that he has come off from the injury really well. Same is the
Right.
case for Umesh Yadav. I think Umesh Yadav did a fantastic job, sort of building the pressure early on. Because if you like try and understand that Sunrisers Hyderabad needed again something like 170, 178, and
Right.
in the halfway, like at the halfway stage, they thought it was something around par. It was not something which was not cheesable.
Right.
So I think just coming in and bowling that spell was sort of like built up the pressure for someone like Russell to come in and like reap the rewards.
True. I mean, Pune has been always a tough wicket to chase, and you reckon that toss was very crucial as well, isn't it? Because in Pune, we have seen so often that some really low scores being defended, and today, yet again, we saw 177 is a mammoth score, in my opinion, in Pune wicket. And how important has Andre Russell been this season? Because he's been doing a very good job, though he's not been making all the noise like what he did in 2019 with his batting performance and with his ball. But even yet again, he's been delivering match in and match out very consistently, isn't it? And today was no exception. He came out there to bat. He took the score to 177. What could I possibly, 150 score? But yet, that 177 made sure that they're pretty comfortable with that score. And from there on, I thought they batted SRH out of it.
Yeah, I think 177 to reach 177 from 90 for 5 at the end of 11, 12 overs. I think it just shows what role did Andrew Russell and Sam Billings play. Because
Right,
when Sam Billings was playing, we could have eventually seen another KKR collapse, as we have seen in the past. That
right,
if Billings would not have held that one end, he was sort of rotating the strike, giving it back to Andrew Russell, and they were not
yeah,
facing too many dot deliveries. Russell was really struggling to hit the boundaries early on. If you would have seen that he was not at all happy with the way he was hitting the ball. But again, I think Sunrisers missed a trick. I think they should have gone with Washington Sundar somewhere in the 12th or
yeah,
13th over when somebody like Russell or Sam Billings were sort of fresh. A wicket over there would have been very impactful for them, but it was not meant to be. And Russell really capitalized on it. In the last over, I think he hit three sixes, and I think that was the sort of the change in momentum and the like. It is always a boost when the team that is finishing an innings well goes to the dressing room with high in confidence. Like they were confident that they could sort of defend this total, and I think
absolutely.
they came like they bowled brilliantly. Kudos to everyone. Some
Yeah,
you have to think about someone like Varun Chakravarti. Because
Right, absolutely.
I had mentioned this in the pregame that somebody like a Varun Chakravarti, it would have been so like mentally so difficult for him, because it was the game against SRH that sort of derailed his campaign in this IPL. Rahul Tripathi just took on him and just thwarted him
But you
all
gotta
across
also
the game.
say in a pitch like Pune, someone like Sunil Narayan and Varun Chakravarti would love bowling, because Pune wicket does offer a bit of turn for all the kind of spinners. We saw that in the game against Lucknow Super Giants, when Lucknow Super Giants took on Gujarat Titans. You saw the ball was turning kind of square there, and that's one of the reasons why they were able to defend 145. And today was no exception. When Sunil Narayan was bowling, it was really difficult for the batsman to hit. And I also like the way in which Shreyas Iyer captain, because he brought in Sunil Narine in the power play, considering that Kane Williamson can be put a lock, and that's exactly what happened. There was a pressure which was built up, and even though Abhishek Sharma hit him for those couple of sixes there, but he just kept at it, and finally, he fell to Varun Chakravarti at a later stage. But I like the way in which Shreyas Iyer captain today as well, the way in which he managed the resources. You reckon now giving that extra bit of responsibility to Russell has been working well for Kolkata Knight Riders, because he's always been a bowler who has got the knack of picking up wickets from any situation in the game. And now that he's been getting that extra responsibility of the fifth bowler in the team, that he's been able to deliver it with perfection, isn't it?
I think it also shows the fact that you need to trust your best 11. Like if you have put up a 11 that you trust in, and you like KKR did not had to change many things. Somebody like a Rinku Singh just walked in to the camp, and I think in place of somebody like a Mavi. Other than that,
Yeah,
I don't think any major changes were made from the team that played the first game. So I
right.
think it's KKR have now realized after, I think it's a bit too little too late, but I think if they have finally realized that you don't have to try out too many things, when you can just stick to you can just trust your best 11 to perform. They might have two or three bad games, but they are definitely going to come back. And I think that's just what is happening with somebody like Varun Chakravarti and Venkatesh Iyer.
Absolutely.
I will say that even Venkatesh Iyer, the way he got out today, I think he was just trying to hit the ball on the up. He was just the ball just stuck onto the pitch, and like it was an unfortunate dismissal.
Yeah, talking about Kolkata Knight Riders, let's talk about the team in orange. They had a great middle stage in the tournament where they won five in a row, and all of a sudden, everybody felt like this team can do something really great this IPL, because they were on a roll at that very point, isn't it? Because they lost two in a row in the start, but then from there on, they never looked back. They just kept on winning. But now, all of a sudden, they are getting derailed, and they are getting derailed really bad. At this point, their run rate is affected. They could only get to 14 points. Mathematically also, they're virtually out at this very point, isn't it? Because 14 points with this particular run rate, with couple of games to go, it seems like an uphill task for Sunrisers Hyderabad. Let's talk about them and what has really happened to this team, because the first that middle five matches, they look like a team who were really there. They were able to ball teams out for cheap scores around 150, 160, and they backed themselves, chase it down quite comfortably. You could say the toss went in their favor for quite a long game, quite a long time, but yet you felt like this team has got something about it. What has really happened to this team? What do you reckon just possibly went off? Is it that the toss is not going in their favor, or is it that the bowling has been found out at this very point?
I think I had called it out that Sunrisers Hyderabad, even though they were stringing in a couple of wins, three or four, I always knew that it was going to be very difficult for them to make the playoffs, because
Yeah,
we spoke about it even after the auction that Sunrisers Hyderabad really did not have a very balanced 11. Uh, they did not have those X factor players that could single-handedly turn the game like in the opposition's favor. You may
yeah,
argue somebody like a Rahul Tripathi or a Nicholas Puran, or some in his days somebody like a Washington Sundar can do like wonders for them. But again, I think the thing that was really clicking for them was the pacers who were bowling really well in tandem. We used to see that Bhuvneshwar Kumar coming in bowling a brilliant spell, followed by somebody like a Natarajan coming in bowling in another brilliant spell, followed by Umran Malik coming in the middle overs with that raw pace. So I
yeah.
think it's just that it's not been going for them in that, like in the way they wanted it to go.
Absolutely, yeah.
And today also we saw that once Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Natarajan, and Umran Malik were clicking, KKR were on the ropes. They were 92 for 90 for 5 at the end of 11 overs. You don't expect KKR with the batting depth that they had, because after somebody, if either Billings or Russell would have got out, players to follow did not have much to show for them. They were all one dimensional like hitters. They would just
Right.
play that single handed, like single dimension game. So yeah,
Right.
I think it was just great match awareness from Sam Billings to sort of knock it around. And we always know that Russell is the X factor player for KKR. He has been so for the last 5-6 seasons, and he has single-handedly done it for KKR on multiple occasions. We even saw in some of the games that KKR lost against Gujarat Titans and Lucknow Super Giants. It was just Russell who was performing single-handedly, and there was not much support from the other end. So it's
Right.
good that some players like Nitish Rana getting some starts, and somebody like a Sam Billings scoring 34, and the bowlers coming
Yeah.
to the fore. Umesh Yadav bowling very economically, brilliantly in the power plays. Tim Southee bowling very well in the beginning, and coming back in the death overs bowling, executing his plans really well. And somebody like Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan bowling very well in tandem. I think that's been the key to success for KKR over the years. Their mystery spin bowling, that those 8 critical overs of spin bowling in the middle, and I think it will continue to be so if Varun Chakravarti sort of continues to like grow in confidence and sort of keep this form.
True. I mean, you have to give credit to the way in which this KKR team has really turned it around at this later part of the tournament. But uh, what do you reckon can possibly happen from here on, right? Can KKR still believe that they are still in the hunt for the playoffs, or are they going to go into the field in the next match thinking that let's just play for pride, let's just go out there and enjoy the game?
I think KKR are definitely in it. I don't know because with winning this game by a huge margin, they've even won the last game by a huge margin. So now 2 consecutive wins by huge margin, and their net run rate is sort of good. And I think another great win against Lucknow Super Giants will just put them in the playoff contention. I think now they're standing fifth in the table, points table, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, net run rate wise, they are doing great. They have to depend on the results of some of the other teams to know whether they are qualifying for the playoffs. But
Right.
the one thing that will be in their hand is to win the next game and to do it clinically, because they got really humiliated against Lucknow Super Giants in the last one. We really saw that
Right.
batting order collapse against Avish Khan, and how brilliantly Avish Khan, Chamira, and Mohsin Khan, they were executing their plans.
Right.
So I think it will be very interesting to see how KKR go against them. Yes, and as we mentioned in our pre-game analysis, something about Shreyas Iyer, whether he'll struggle against Umran Malik. Turned out he even got out against Umran Malik even today. So it is sort of starting to cause a concern for somewhere in Shreyas Iyer's mind. He's thinking that probably if a pacer is coming in, bowling in my body, like bowling those short pitch deliveries
Yeah.
into the body, into the hitting the pitch hard, bowling into the body. It is being very hard for him to get those runs of those deliveries. So I think he has to sort of find a way to counter it. But other than that, I think KKR's batting has always been this way. You see collapses. They lose 4 or 5 wickets really early, and then there are some saviors who come in and just pull the team out of those troubles. So I think
Well,
we saw
let's look
another
at the
game.
points table at this very point, right? Let's look at what it has done to the points table after KKR victory. KKR at this very point are sitting at number 6 in the table. They've got good 13. They've got good 12 points there, and of course they've got one game in hand, and they will really have to pull things from here on because it's going to be a tough time for KKR from here on, isn't it? Because they have to depend not only on others' results, but then they'll also have to make sure they win the next game also by a huge margin. As we discussed in the pre-game, will KKR be looking at winning next game also by a huge margin? Because net run rate is something which can come into play if at all, or there's a log jam at 14, as we are already seeing there is a log jam which is slowly creeping in there. Can we
Yeah.
expect teams to think about net run rate from here on?
Yeah, see, it's important to think about the net run rate, but it's also important to understand that, like thinking, like worrying about the net run rate, you don't go in early, and just don't go in too hard early on, so that you sort of lose too many wickets early on, so that you can't recover. I mean, they can come in the next game and lose 2-3 wickets early on, and try like in a way trying to boost their net run rate, trying to score over 200. They might end up scoring just 120, and it might be very difficult to win games if you have that approach. You can have good days, but there is always a flip side to that as well. So
Right.
it's necessary to know that you have to win the game by a good margin, but it's also necessary to know that you have to win the game first of all. If you
Right.
go too hard at it, you might even end up losing it. So win it first
You
of all,
did
and then
discuss
we see
yesterday that
where the net run rate takes us.
16 points could be the cutoff. Are we still going to believe that 16 points is a cutoff, or you reckon somewhere there maybe 14 can be good enough to qualify if you have good net run rate?
See, Punjab Kings faces Delhi Capitals in one of the games, so it is sure that another of the teams will only be able to reach 14. So
Right.
Sunrisers can reach a maximum of 14. One of Punjab Kings and Delhi Capitals can reach 14. KKR can reach 14. So that leaves us with 5 teams who can potentially score 16 points right now. So
Right.
yeah, still we are in the favor of going with 16 points as the qualification margin. But I have a gut feeling. I have been saying it that 14 points with the most superior net run rate might just seal the deal for that fourth team. But
Right.
we'll have to see, because 4 out of 10 will qualify, and 50% wins is more often than not enough. But we have
Right.
had
I mean, that's a very good one because you never know what could happen from here on as well. Tomorrow, I believe there are two games, and uh, Gujarat versus Chennai would merely be a dead rubber in my opinion
yeah
because Gujarat has almost sealed it there. But they would want to win that and make sure they are in good stead before heading into that finals in Kolkata and also in Ahmedabad, and they would really want to play in front of their home ground. That is for sure. Maybe it could be the final, and they would really don't want it to be the playoff two because that means they have not either won the playoff one or they've either they're either into the eliminator as well. But I believe
right.
18 points will not mean that we'll be playing eliminator. I think 18 points is good
Yeah.
enough at this very point
Yeah,
we're
I
talking about.
always said that 18 points was enough to secure the top two spot. So tomorrow,
Yeah.
the more interesting game will be Lucknow Super Giants versus
Yes,
Rajasthan Royals.
yes. At this very point, you reckon you give chances to Lucknow Super Giants over Rajasthan Royals, considering though we're not doing a preview of that game, but then at this very point in the tournament, we are supposed to talk about every game because that's how it affects a team like
Yeah.
Sunrisers. I just want to know how much has it affected their chances of qualification, Sunrisers Hyderabad. Let's look at where they are in the points table. Let's look at their net run rate as well. They are
I think it is
minus
safe to say that
276.
Sunrisers Hyderabad are out of it.
Right. Yeah, they need two massive wins to even run for
Yeah.
contention. I just think Sunrise Hyderabad can call it the end of the tournament at this very point because it's going to be very tough with this net run rate and 14 points logjam to even qualify. We are even speculating 14 points will be a mere outside chance to qualify. But if at all, if it is 14 points, I really think it's going to be a fight between Delhi Capitals and Kolkata Knight Riders. Let's look at their net run rates and let's possibly look at what is going to happen. Kolkata Knight Riders have 1.160, Punjab Kings have 0.23, and Delhi Capitals have 210. It is impossible. So these two teams have positive net run rates. But then if you're expecting Delhi Capitals to lose to either Punjab Kings or if they lose both of their matches, they're not going to qualify for sure. So I'm sure that most of them will be really hoping that Punjab Kings and Delhi Capitals lose, and especially Kolkata fans will be really hoping that RCB and also Rajasthan lose because
Yeah.
that's the only way you can secure
Not
14
just
points.
Kolkata fans. I think anybody who is not supporting Gujarat Titans or Rajasthan Royals will be hoping for will hope that Lucknow Super Giants win tomorrow. So
Right,
that
right.
means that still one of the teams have to fight it hard to like sort of gain that playoff position.
I'm
So I
sure if
think all the
tomorrow
teams
if
will be rooting for
Lucknow
Lucknow Super
wins
Giants.
over Rajasthan, it creates a whole new dimension to the tournament table again.
Yeah, definitely.
I just keep telling again, only my this very table doesn't change. IPL table keeps changing every now and then. And as we predicted, it's going to the last week of the tournament, and we do not know who's going to possibly make it to the top four. And it could be a complete reversal. You might just see Punjab Kings and Kolkata Knight Riders there, and you're going to be like, oh, what just happened there? And I'm sure that's what's possibly going to happen at this very point as well. Having said that, Sandipani, let's talk about the fantasy side of things. How did your day go there?
See, I was instructing people to keep Andrew Russell as the captain or vice captain in one or multiple teams. So I went with the same thing. So I had a
Okay.
good day at the office. I also had somebody like Varun Chakravarti and Tim Saudi who gave me good
Right.
fantasy points, and obviously I had Nitish Rana who sort of contributed in some way, and Abhishek Sharma. So a good day in the office.
I really was on the hunch to keep Umran Malik. I did not keep Umran Malik in my team. I thought he could have possibly fetched me a lot of points, but Andre Russell even was my captain, and I had Varun Chakravarti as my vice captain. I just had a feeling Pune pitch might turn a little bit, but nonetheless, it just happens. But I had a very good day in the fantasy field as well. But I would really love to have Umran Malik to absolutely ace it, absolutely ace the competitions and get past my competitors. But nonetheless, that's what happens in the fantasy field. Having said that, lads, I really request you all to play the fantasy contest on Boom 11. The link is in the bio. Click it right now. Register, and so all you have to do is sign up and play the contest for absolute free of cost. And you can win so many prizes. And this IPL, you can win prizes worth up to $5,000. So you don't want to miss out on that chance, isn't it? You're playing for free and winning rewards for free. Absolute no cost. So you are going to have zero loss. So this is a one fantasy platform where you will incur zero loss. So play it out with your friends, challenge your friends, get the bragging rights against them. And also do remember to subscribe to this channel and show some love, because we'll be coming every day post match to give you some really good analysis on IPL games. And also we'll give you some football podcasts and podcasts on various cricket topics as well. And also follow us on Twitter, because the link is right in the bio for that as well, because that's where we'll be doing the pre-match analysis, where we'll be having Joe and Sandipani with us to analyze and break down the game. And also, guys, remember to show some love by commenting on the video and sharing with as many friends as possible. And do give us your feedbacks. Having said that, have a safe night, all of you, and have a good night if you're a night rider. And stay safe. And Sandipani, I'm sure you are having a good night.
Yeah, I'm definitely having a good night, and I just hope that KKR comes on top in the game against Lucknow Super Giants as well.
Absolutely.